Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick9G. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about I Love Lucy, more specifically about Vivian Vance and about her role as ETHEL Mertz. Now, I did want to avoid making this video for so long. I've been making I Love Lucy videos since 2014, and like I said, there are many videos that I don't want to touch upon from many shows because I always want to keep the positivity alive here on this channel. I always want to keep the work of these individuals as the highlight of my videos. I want to keep their memory alive, not to put them down, but to lift them up. And I thought, I can't report on this story without doing that, but I thought, no, that would be an injustice as well because people need to know about this. And I do have a positive spin about it, which I'm not just doing on purpose. I really think this is something positive about Vivian Vance and her life that we could learn from, and it could benefit us as well in this regard. We're going to be talking about her mental illness. She had a nervous breakdown back when she was doing a play long ago, and essentially it was very difficult for her to recover from that. If any of you have been performers and know how difficult it is to have a panic attack or to go on stage and just freeze up, even though you're a professional, you've been doing it for so long, and that was something that Vivian Vance struggled with. As I mentioned in many of my previous videos, she was not the first choice to play ETHEL Mertz. They had other women in line to do that, but they all did not come through, and Vivian Vance was the one who was chosen. However, and ironically, her popularity soared on the show. She, in fact, in her own words, lost her own identity on I Love Lucy by becoming ETHEL Mertz. She declared this in 1976, 16 years after last playing the character. And she said, "When I die, there will be people who send flowers, not to Vivian Vance, but to ETHEL Mertz." She would get up, go into heaven, and everyone would say, "Hi, Ethel. I see you're still in reruns." Now that is something that if you think about it, it's a little haunting because it almost seems like the character and herself, her real life Vivian Vance persona, or actually that's who she really is, got almost meshed together where there was no difference. People on the street would call her Ethel. She would be very upset at this. Many people would ask her where her husband Fred was. Of course, she was not married to Fred Mertz. That is the man who played Fred Mertz, William Frawley. She was married to other men, which I have made a video on this, one of whom actually was on I Love Lucy a couple times. You should really check those videos out if you do want to know that. But coming back to this, what was it exactly that made her lose her identity and gave her all of these issues where she actually had to go to therapy? Yes, guys and gals, I'll talk a little bit about that in just a little bit. But I do want to know that she was a former showgirl. She often played femme fatale characters on stage, and now purposefully, she was de-glamorized for her TV role as Ethel. Now there was a story, and it was more of a rumor, about this quote-unquote fat clause, which said that whenever I Love Lucy was in production, she had to be at least 20 pounds heavier than Lucille Ball. That is, of course, false. However, Vivian's costumes would have been padded. In regards to the quote-unquote problem of her hair color, Vance attempted to find a special hair color that was more complementary to Lucille Ball, and so she changed it to a shade of blonde. Now during the first season, her hair color varied from episode to episode because, of course, as I mentioned, she was trying to find the right shade that will look the best on camera because the show was in black and white, so the different shades of black, white, gray, and so forth. Additionally, Vance would be costumed in frumpy house dresses. In fact, many of these she had to pick up herself. They weren't really provided to her. Now, Lucille Ball was the only one who had authentic outfits catered and custom made to her body shape. Whereas Vivian Vance, there was nothing like that even close. Even Emily Daniels, who had a role in the production of the show, said that Vivian wore those dresses because they were pretty dowdy. The first year she accepted at that, but as the years passed, Vance felt that her frumpy Ethel image was being overplayed at the expense of her talent. Now, despite the past nervous breakdown that she did have in the play before I Love Lucy, Vivian Vance was able to maintain her stellar performances. Her timing was always on cue with Lucy, and anyone that she was performing with on the set of I Love Lucy. It was truly amazing. If you've seen episodes over and over again, just sit back and watch Vivian Vance. Don't focus on Lucy so much and see how well Vivian Vance does. Her reactions are amazing. They're priceless. This is something that I would agree with, but Lucille Ball said this as well. Now, as previously mentioned, she was married 4 times to different men, and it was something that was very tumultuous in her life. Even so, whenever she would come into work, she had quick wit that was apparent to all those who were around her. She could crack things that were even quite risque. Even as she was smiling on the outside and cracking up America as she did crazy things with Lucy and the gang, she was confronting her demons through psychoanalysis. In fact, over her years on playing ETHEL Mertz, she reminisced that she would go from couch to the studio every morning. Can I emphasize that? Every single day after the show, she would go in to see a psychoanalyst. That is something that is mind-blowing to me, probably mind-blowing to many fans, and she was essentially dealing with demons while she was playing this hilarious, funny part in I Love Lucy. It's something that actually Lucille Ball did whenever she would come into work, but that's for another story. And I think Vivian Vance is an example to all of us who may be anxious, may have to go to therapy, anything like that, including myself, that even with her problems, it created no impediment to her performance at all. And I can tell you from watching the show from age 3 over 30 years, it did not affect her performances. Whatever Vance may have been reeling in on any given day, she kept those sentiments to herself and gave entirely of herself to the performances on I Love Lucy, both in rehearsals and in filming. And this is what I want to highlight in regards to Vivian Vance, that this is a positive. She took her difficulties, put them aside, and gave us some of the best performances of all time on television. Let me know your thoughts down below, guys and gals. Does this story resonate with you? I'd love to hear it. Definitely resonates with me in my past. Maybe that's something for another video for me to discuss. We'll see you next time, guys and gals, and most importantly, be hopeful. Thank you so much to my Diamond tier patrons: Citizen Kane 359, Paul T, Ricky, Gary N, David D, Sally N, Yasmin G, and Lori K. If you want to be part of the Patreon family, don't forget to take a look at the description with many exclusives that you can enjoy.